welcome to Random Gaming Talk. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for video games. I'm your host Matthew, and joining me, returning from not being here last week, is Robert. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing today?
Doing alright, doing good. As some of you will recall, last week was a solo episode. I talked about a bunch of stuff. I'll get to that in the housekeeping and whatnot. But yeah, how have you been over the last 2 weeks? What have you been playing?
Well, I got Star Wars Squadron. It was half off as part of a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. Honestly, wasn't all that impressed.
Hmm.
I was really hoping for more story, but it's very, very minimal. It's like maybe 5 lines of dialogue in between missions. And then I went and looked at the achievements, and like 80% of the achievements are online. So I'm like, okay. I'm glad I only spent
Alright.
$20 on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, just wandering around Valhalla playing that game. Kind of getting the hang of it. Starting to get more of the story into it now. There's a lot of distractions to not stay on the main quest, but now I'm getting into it, and we're starting to get into the whole Templars Assassins thing. So,
Mm-hmm. Cool. Anything else?
yeah, actually, one of the streamers that I follow found this one game called Five Dates. And it's a FMV game. It's full motion video, so all the everything you see, everything you do is real people. It's basically like making a video game and filming it out of like those old choose your own adventure books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you play a guy named Viddy, and who signs up for a dating service, and it's just going through all the dates. But it's something that should be checked out for a couple reasons. One, it was filmed in lockdown, so everybody had to be basically their own PA and director and makeup and all that. It's also all filmed in the UK, so all the actors are British actors,
Oh, cool.
and they got a couple of big pulls. I gotta say. Let me find the people here. One of the actors involved is Mandeep Gill, who is currently on the current run of Doctor Who.
Oh yeah,
One of
yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And then one of the other actors, where is that one there? Georgia Hurst, who did 6 years on Vikings.
Okay. Cool. I'm not familiar with that one, but
It's a History Channel show over here in the UK,
no,
in the
I
States.
know what Vikings is. The actor, I'm not really familiar with. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, those are not unknown people.
yeah, yeah. Quite good.
So
Uh,
if you're looking for something like completely change of pace, it's very affordable. It's like $12 on Steam, I want to say.
cool.
Um,
I do like games that are made like that. It's just something very different, isn't it?
yeah,
When you're playing a video game but created by filming real people.
yeah.
So
And the only downside is that it is very narrow because you are Vinny. There's no changing that, and you have 5 women that you're trying to date. There's no changing that. But then all the other interactions kind of depend on your answers. And the game was also designed for streamers in mind because there's actually a mode called streaming to where it disables all the copyright music, and there's no time limit on answering questions. So you're not rushing in to
right. So
answer this,
like
answer this.
debating with the audience, I
Yeah,
suppose.
debating with the chat, seeing
Yeah,
what's going on.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And your best friend Callum is fucking hilarious. He's like awesome. Like I want him to be my best friend in real life.
Cool, cool. But no, I like games that are filmed that way. There's not a ton of them either, at least from my sort of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that again, like we said, was 2 weeks ago when we talked about like copyrighted music and stuff. Good that they've got the option to do that because you don't want any of them DCMA strikes.
Mm.
So yeah, no, that sounds pretty interesting. I do like those sorts of games. So and it doesn't always matter to me what it's kind of about. Just I'm interested in games that are created like that because usually you either have a photorealistic character, like a live action sort of thing, or you've got not live action, like what's it called? Motion capture? What am I
Yeah,
thinking of?
mocap.
Mocap, yeah, yeah. You either have that sort of thing or you just have like animated characters or something maybe a little bit in between. But yeah, when you film real people and that, it just brings a bit of a different experience. So what did you say that was called?
5 dates.
Five Dates. Cool. I'll
And
have a
it's
look.
not the number five. It actually spells out the word 5 dates.
Okay. Cool. So go and look for that on Steam if you want to. For me, I've been playing Super Mario Sunshine. I did talk about it on this week's Geektown episode that has not been released yet. That will be available tomorrow. Go and listen to that if you want to. Um, yeah, been playing that. That's the 3D All-Stars version available on Switch. I do also have the game on GameCube, and I still have my GameCube, which I got years ago when I was much younger. Got a lot of nostalgia from it, which I didn't quite anticipate. I remember there was a game or something that I played. No, it was High School Musical when I didn't anticipate getting the nostalgia for that quite so much. But that was a TV show. Yeah, I guess just lately I've been visiting things and getting surprised amount of nostalgia, which is quite good. Just sort of like the music that hits when you go to Isle Delfino. And just the area going around that again, and just playing the game again is really good. I didn't play a particularly big portion of it now that I've gotten way past where I was before, back in 2000 and something. Whenever I got that game, the game came out in 2002, but I can't remember if because I was given it as a Christmas present, because I was given, like those really fat TVs you used to get with like the big thick SCART cable.
Hmm.
I got like one of them sort of things with a GameCube and with Super Mario Sunshine for one Christmas. So that was how I played it back on the GameCube and stuff, that was a good Christmas. So, but yeah, that was back in the game came out in 2002. I can't remember if it was then or slightly after when I got the game. But no, it's been really, really good. I've been progressing through it quite a lot. Some surprisingly difficult levels. The only real problem I've kind of actually got with the game is because it's a port, there's been no sort of improvements made to the controls necessarily. They're a little bit janky at certain points. Some of which is a bit of just a platforming kind of challenge, but like sometimes you'd slip off a ledge, or sometimes you'd go to press, would it be the B button? Yeah, B to jump, and like Mario wouldn't do it, and then he'd fall off the edge and things like that. But yeah, whenever you complete sort of a challenge or a puzzle or whatever, and you get that shrine, it's all worth it at the end of the day. Did you ever own like a GameCube or anything? I can't remember if you said that you had
No, my
before.
cousin's kids had one, so I have played with it a little bit, but the controller was just kind of wonky.
Yeah, yeah,
That's been really weird with Nintendo, because when you think about the 64 and then the GameCube, just how bizarre
yeah.
those
They're
controllers
not
were.
really normal. Like when you look at Xbox controllers and PlayStation controllers, they're a lot more normal shaped. Because if you remember the GameCube one, you've got like this massive A button, and then this little B, Y, and X button like around the sides of it, and then there was like the Z button, if you remember that, the big
Hmm.
R and L button, the analog stick, and then there was the little yellow like right analog stick. It was very weird, but yeah. So, but no, I've been getting on with the game quite well. I looked up just to see how far you have to get to finish the game, because I'd no idea, and I just wanted a sort of general idea of how long I had left. Because the story does progress pretty well. It's quite well paced. You get sort of rewarded. It feels rewarding whenever you get sort of a cutscene and things actually progress. But I've got 31, I think they're called shrines or stars. I've got 31 of those, and I looked up and it said that you have to get 50 to beat the game. There's 120 in total. I'm not going to collect the other 70 shrines. So I don't know if like, because you can get shrines in all sorts of different orders. Like there's loads of them around Isle Delfino. There's the different missions that you can do, and then there's different missions in different places. So there's no sort of like, okay, you have to go here, then you have to go here, then you have to go here. It's sort of like, okay, just look around. There's a path that you can kind of take with like your next thing that pops up, but you can still like, okay, if you can get into this building or jump on top of this roof or something, there's shrines all around the place there. I'm wondering then if like maybe when I get the 50th shrine thing, if a cutscene just sort of gets triggered, maybe, and then it like maybe that's the final boss. But I'm assuming maybe that there's cutscenes before that that would like go towards the sort of end game of the story, because there are certain times where like you'd collect 5 shrines or something, and then something will come up on the map, and if you go to that one, and do that thing, that will not only give you another shrine, but it will progress the story. So, because there's certain points where like this, because it's this, you're chasing this blue evil version of Mario, and basically certain times when you come back from going on a little level thing or a mission, and you come back to Isle Delfino, they'll show like that he's in a particular place of the map. So you go and kind of like chase him, and then you get another shrine off of him or whatever. So there is certain points where like, okay, to actually progress the story, you need to go to this point. But other than that, it's kind of like a little bit of free roam, which is a good way to kind of balance it. I think you don't like have to go to one particular place to get a shrine, which is good. So, but that's been quite good. I've been enjoying that. Returned to some Call of Duty today. I said last week about the Battle Pass. Now, I said, did you get a chance to listen to last week's show?
A bit of it, yeah. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I've had sleep since then, so.
Okay, yeah. But right, basically the situation is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which no one likes, according to almost everyone that I play with. The Season 1 Battle Pass for that is going to start, I think, tomorrow. The Call of Duty Season 6 Battle Pass expires tomorrow, or in like 9 or 8 hours or something, like 8 a.m. or whatever from now. A lot of people are thinking that because we wanted the revives ability to be put back into Cyber Attack, which had been taken out for some reason, that the Battle Pass would require an update, the update would then put that back in. So we're all kind of hoping that tomorrow, when when the update comes around, that they do that. I still don't know long term. Okay, so you got three things you're basically trying to support, which is Modern Warfare's multiplayer, Warzone, and Black Ops Cold War. I've asked a few people today actually, like, how is it? Because some people are playing Cold War and Modern Warfare, which I don't want to do. And I've said to those people, how does Warzone, like, because you get progress carried over between the two, how does that even work? And no one was able to explain it to me today, because my main big question of that is like, okay, you got one that's set in Cold War and one that's set in Modern Warfare, completely different maps, completely different weapons. I don't know what the Warzone is like for Cold War, or if it's the same as Modern Warfare. Again, that wouldn't really make sense. I don't know how that actually works at all, really. But there is Warzone in Cold War. But yeah, I don't know how they're going to support Black Ops Cold War, Modern Warfare, and then Warzone all at the same time. Do like Season 7 of Modern Warfare, Season 1 of Cold War, and then Season 8 of Modern Warfare, and then Season 2 of Cold War, and then update Warzone. And the other question I had was, okay, you do that from now, so it's December 2020, you do that from now. Do you do that until the next Call of Duty game comes out? And then depending on what that one is, what happens then? I don't know, I just have questions about how that logically even sort of works. So we'll see. I mean, I would get it if they put more into the new game, because it's the new game, so that would kind of make sense. But I just wonder how they're going to go about supporting all three games kind of going forward, and then what happens when the new game does eventually come out. So we shall see. What else was I playing as well? Been playing some more PES, been streaming a little bit of it. I tried to stream some yesterday, but it kept crashing. I don't particularly know why. Like sometimes it crashes after maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, or maybe a bit longer, but it kept crashing after like 5 minutes. I don't know what was going on yesterday, but that's been going well as well. So I'm nearing the end of the season as well. I'm getting into like quarterfinals and semi-finals of certain things, so that's been quite good as well. But yeah, we know that Cyberpunk comes out in a couple of days, and we're going to talk about some stuff related to that in a little bit. But let's take a quick break. We'll get into some housekeeping, and then we will see you for the news on the other side of that. See you in a minute. Hi there, and thanks very much for listening. Today I'm here to tell you about our two different affiliate links. The first of which is our Amazon affiliate link. That's where you can shop on Amazon. We can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you anything extra. So whether you're getting a gift for somebody else or treating yourself, or maybe both depending on the occasion, we can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you extra. You can find the link to our Amazon affiliate link in your show notes. The second affiliate link for today is our Kualu affiliate link. If you want to get started with a website and a domain name of your choice, you can simply sign up with Kualu using the link in the show notes. They also have a live chat support system that's in the bottom right hand corner as well. So if you need help with getting set up, Kualu will be able to help you with that as well. The links for both of these can be found in your show notes for Kualu and the Amazon affiliate link. If you would like to get the ad-free versions of Entertainment Talks podcast and support us along the way, you can simply sign up over on our Patreon page. You can sign up either as a creator or as a patron. There's no difference there for the time being, and you can get your ad-free podcasts over there. It's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also support Entertainment Talk on Patreon at the $3 level tier. This gets you a chance to request a review from us of your favourite TV show or film, but it's one per month, so one TV show or film review per month. It's up to you which one you want to choose. We will watch a few episodes of the TV show that you choose, or of course if it's a film, we'll just watch that film and we will review that for you on that month. And then when it gets to the next month, you can request a new TV show or a film review of your choice. That's $3 level tier. That does also of course include your ad-free podcasts for the month as well. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of the show. Alright, recently on Entertainment Talk, let me scroll down the website here. We've got another Let's Play Sundays episode for you. This is for Crash Bandicoot 4. There was about 10 of those recorded, so that is one of those videos. Did the chat podcast for November, talked about a little bit about October and November because I didn't get round to doing the chat podcast last month. The Walking Dead podcast were a big success, all three of the shows, so thank you everybody who's listened to those. It was a little bit of a gamble for us to cover all three of the shows, the finale for Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead episodes and Walking Dead World Beyond episodes, but it's paid off very, very, very well, and I talked about the sort of monthly report and where Walking Dead fits in all of that as well. I talked about some COVID frustrations. Well, the whole thing's frustrating really, but some specific frustrations related to where I live and that kind of thing, and talked about a bunch of other things as well. Of course, it's the chat podcast, so you can check that out for November. That will actually be the last one of the year, because when we get to January I will talk about December, because you can't really talk about the month until it's finished. But anyway, you can check that out. That is the November edition of the chat podcast. Manchester United beat West Ham 3-1 away from home. Almost didn't happen. It could have been a very, very different game if certain things didn't happen. Fans have been allowed back into the ground, or 2,000 fans per ground, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but they're back in nonetheless, and Manchester United did claim the 3 points at the London Stadium. Which is good as well. So we've moved into the top 4, or near the top of the league, which is good. Discovering Star Trek is still continuing for Star Trek Discovery Season 3 Episode 8. So that's that so far. By the way, for the United cast, there'll be a new episode tomorrow. Big game in the Champions League. We could end up getting knocked out of the Champions League depending on what happens tomorrow. Speaking of the Champions League, last week we lost 3-1 to PSG in a pretty terrible performance. And that's that. But like I said, there'll be a new episode of the United Cast tomorrow. Speaking of The Walking Dead, we did cover the World Beyond double season finale, episodes 9 and 10 for season 1. It was an hour 55 minute podcast, the longest one that we've ever done for anything, but we did have 2 episodes to cover, so that kind of makes sense. And that is that completely for The Walking Dead until some point next year when the shows come back. So look forward to those in the future, and you can listen to all those podcasts at the moment because they're all out. Gaming Talk last week, the solo episode that I did, I talked about the James Bond game in development from IO Interactive, the Hitman developers. Crash Bandicoot 4, there was a little interesting teaser there with a little video that got released, and The Last of Us 2 destroyed the Golden Joystick Awards with 6 awards, so congratulations to everybody over there. And then lastly, video game related as well, I did my spoiler free review for Watch Dogs Legion, which is why I haven't mentioned it in this show because I already finished the game, and that's what we've been doing on entertainmenttalk.org and on podcast platforms. Let's talk about some news. Do you want to go first? Should I go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go first.
Cool.
So first off, Microsoft has purchased a esports tournament platform. Smash.gg was purchased this week. According to the news statement, since we started in 2015, our goal has been to build up active esports scenes around games people love to play. Today, we're excited to take the next step in that journey by joining Microsoft to help strengthen our existing relationship and explore new opportunities. Smash.gg will continue as a self-service esports platform available to tournament organizers from all gaming communities. I honestly have never heard of this, so I don't know what to really make of it, but it's Microsoft spending money again.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, as you pointed out before, they've got what was the quote that you said before? They've got enough heaters to like
They've got enough air conditioning. They got enough money to air condition hell if they wanted
that.
to.
Yeah, that was what you said before. So they got a ton of money, which is good and all that. Yeah, Microsoft has been very, very interesting with the way they've spent money in the last couple of years, with the whole Mixer thing and then that changing to Facebook gaming, which I haven't heard a single thing about since that actually happened, but because no one mentions Mixer anymore because it doesn't exist. What actually happens if you go to like Mixer.com? Is it just is it there?
It's a dead website. I mean, really,
Oh,
that's all it is.
yeah, yeah. They've purchased some things lately, Bethesda and everything from there, and then they've bought a couple of other things recently as well. Some of which have been interesting. Yeah, it's just like I keep saying about Microsoft and Xbox, they've got basically everything in place they need to be more competitive in terms of the gaming industry. Of course, they're still are the top two, Xbox and PlayStation. Nintendo always does kind of their own thing. Steam is its own kind of thing. So is the other sort of platforms as well. Mobile gaming is its own thing. But in terms of the more hardcore competitive gaming area, it's pretty much Xbox, PlayStation, and then a little bit lower down is Nintendo. But yeah, you've got the Xbox Series X, which I've heard really, really good things about. You've got this Game Pass system. Games with Gold kind of sucks at the moment, but other than that, like you've got these 23 studios in place. They're, I assume, hard at work making games. There's got to be a. I'm just waiting for Microsoft. I'm just waiting for that point where like, okay, when do you start releasing some of these big games from these 23 studios? Like I know that obviously Bethesda's got some games in development and that as well that are due to come out soon, and they're going to have probably like a case by case sort of basis in terms of exclusivity. But yeah, I'm just wondering from Microsoft, like when do we start to see some of those really big games, and it will just up the value of Game Pass even more. So this, yeah, in terms of this actual bit of news, it doesn't really particularly mean anything to me. Whether it's a way to help with community in some sort of way, that's probably what that's more targeted at, maybe. But we'll see what comes of that. So I don't think either of us have anything else to add to that
Yeah,
necessarily.
I've been scouring the article, and there's no dollar amount listed for what they
Hmm,
paid for them. So I'm guessing whatever it was either small or because of whatever rules and regulations they didn't have to. But
hmm.
yeah, it's interesting to see where they're going to go with this.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, there was a big theft the other day. 40 containers of RTX 3090 graphics cards were stolen from an MSI factory in China. That value for those cases is roughly $336,500. So it's not an insignificant, dollar amount. Plus, with everything going on, it's tough to produce any kind of products right now anyway.
Yeah.
MSI is offering a reward of 100,000 won, which is roughly 15 grand US, for anyone offering any information that will lead to an arrest and recovery of the cargo.
Hmm.
Um, Outside of that, I mean, it sucks because you're making this awesome thing and you want to get it to everybody, and then somebody just comes along and just like nicks it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it is more, especially in this day and age with COVID and everything else, it is more difficult to track these things down. And like you said, with producing things, as we've seen with the limited amount of consoles and stuff like that at the moment. So, they're not going to be the only ones that are having trouble or having difficulty making things, because everyone's struggling in some way, shape, or form at the moment. Whether it's just avoiding people that almost walk straight into you. I'm talking about people that live near me. Um, But yeah, it's a tough world out there in certain ways at the moment. I hope they get recovered. I hope whoever stole them gets punished in some way, shape, or form. But China seems to be a difficult place. So yeah. But what do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, they obviously knew what they were taking because you don't steal 40 cases of just one item. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever was going on was definitely something. I don't want to say insider because I don't know that, but that would be my first guess if I was investigating it. That would be my first thought because the theft was so limited and so specific. But yeah, I just hope they get it recovered and hope that people that want those cards can get them because I know they're the big hotness right now.
Yep, certainly. And things like that aren't cheap to replace either.
No.
Again, especially in this day and age. So, cool. What else do you want to talk about today?
A little upbeat, more of a note. Rust, which is a game I've completely forgotten about because it was first released in 2013,
Mm.
and then spent 4 years in early access. Got its technical full release in 2018. Had a charity event the other day. They were selling digital mustaches and managed to raise $80,000 for the charity.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so this was done for as part of their seventh anniversary. So I never played Rust. I don't really know what it is, but I think it's one of those like multiplayer survival games. Um,
Well, like a 7 days to die kind of thing.
yeah, like a 7 days to die kind of a
Hmm.
thing.
How are you getting on with that game? I remember you said that you were
Uh,
playing it.
yeah, I've been playing it. I've kind of stopped right now just because you get to a point where there's nothing to do. I
Hmm.
mean, you've got all the things, you can build all the things, and so now you're just kind of tooling around for the sake of tooling around. I am on day 87, I want to say. So like I'm not unfar into it. So
Yeah, I just remembering when I played it and I did that stream and I died in like 20 minutes. But I got caught out, so these things happen. So, but yeah, good that they're doing charity stuff. That's always quite good. So yeah, happy for that game. I'm not familiar with what it is either, but hey, hopefully it's a good game. I'm sure that there's an audience for it. A lot of people like those sorts of games, so yeah, all good stuff there. So, what else did you want to talk about today?
well, if you're having trouble getting the next gen console, there's a new kind of roundabout way to get one. Uh, Uber Eats and Wendy's are partnering to give away next gen consoles. Trying to get into the story here. It's just people are like if you're using the app, somebody shows up with a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. Um, there's no like real grand. I mean, obviously that's a prize, but there's no real way to say what happens outside of like the basic Uber Eats website. You have to order a meal from Wendy's, never stop gaming menu, and get the Uber Eats prize pass. That gives you a code to check on a website to see if they will, if that's a winner or not. So,
Hmm, interesting. I do use the Uber Eats app sometimes, whether it's for like full meals or just like snacks and stuff. Like
mhm.
if I'm feeling like I'm willing to spend probably too much on a snack, but I still really want that particular type of thing. I did it today actually, so I don't know if you know the popcorn chicken from KFC. Got some of that today.
Mhm.
I hadn't had any for ages. I wanted a Pepsi as well, and I spent probably too much money on it, but still I wanted it, so I went for it. But yeah, it's good that they're doing that kind of thing. Again, especially in today's day and age, people are, restaurants have been closed, depending on where you live and what the situation is, because there's different rules for different areas or whatever. But more people have been ordering food this year because restaurants have been closed and they've had to pretty much do that. 'Cause that's the thing for some restaurants now. Like if they're closed and they can do deliveries, that's pretty much their only option, which is a shame. So, but if people are still getting work at the end of the day and it's still keeping them in business, I guess that's quite good. But yeah, it's always nice to be able to win certain things. I've never really like ordered something and won something as well. You don't really get that as much in the UK,
Hmm.
because I know that Wendy's tends to do these things a fair bit. There's been like Xbox stuff in the past and like energy drink sort of promotions and that, but yeah, it doesn't really, at least from what I've seen, doesn't really happen that much over here. So, how about you?
Yeah, I haven't really seen winners. They do contests all the time with their different partnerships,
Mhm.
but I've never actually won anything worth noting. According to the article, there's going to be a total of 6,000 prizes giving out, including consoles, media remotes, which I don't know what that is, hoodies,
Would that
sweatpants, 50.
is that a PlayStation Media remote?
I don't know. I have no idea what a media remote is. Um, Hoodies, sweatpants, $50 gift cards to the console's online store, and $10 gift cards to Uber Eats.
Hmm, cool.
Um, Contest is running now until midnight, Saturday, December 12th. So it's a very short run contest.
Hmm. So get your orders in, literally.
Yep.
Yeah. So, um, cool. All right. What else do you want to talk about today?
And probably, what has just become standard 2020 now. Activision is suing Netflix. In the lawsuit, which was obtained by the Deadline website, Activision said Netflix unapologetically recruits talents without regard to its ethical and legal obligations to shape its workforce to its desires. Netflix not only ruthlessly fires its own employees that it deems adequate, but is engaged in year-long campaigns of unlawfully poaching executives from Netflix competitors, regardless of their contractual obligations. Which that is a mouthful.
Hmm.
Activision claims Netflix is disregarding California law, which includes labor codes with actions. According to Activision, Netflix knowingly induced Newman, who I don't know who that is, to breach his employment contract with Activision. So I'm guessing he was an Activision exec that now works for Netflix. His full name is not given in the article, so I have no idea who he really is. But yeah, that's a thing now. So
So how does that work exactly? Like if you're an executive at Activision and someone from Netflix says like, "Hey, we want you to work for us." If you just can't you just kind of refuse to leave? Like,
you can always you can do whatever you want. Really, it depends on whatever non-compete clause you have in your contract. And I got to figure with media companies like game companies and video and movie companies and places like that. There's a lot of information that could benefit a company going somewhere else, like trade
hmm
secrets, things unannounced, things like that. That really could affect a few things. So.
hmm like let's say I'm working on Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, just for an
Mhm.
example, right? And Crystal Dynamics wants me to work on the Avengers game, and I'm not bringing that up because I don't like the Avengers. I'm just giving examples of two video
Mhm.
games. Let's say I'm happy working on Black Ops Cold War. I'm ready to put out that Season 1 Battle Pass, or get ready for put that out, get ready for brainstorm ideas for Season 2, whatever the situation might be. And I get an email or a call or some sort of interaction. Can't you just like I don't know, just like ignore it and keep going to work? I don't really
I'm
get
sure you
how that
could.
works.
I'm
Yeah.
sure that's one of those things you could, but
Mm.
Netflix can also throw giant piles of cash at you
Mm.
as an
So
incentive.
can other companies as well.
Yeah.
Like, but what I mean is like, if I get an email in the morning, like I'm about to go on my commute to Activision, I can just can't I just like ignore it and then go to my desk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could.
Mm.
I don't see why you
Yeah.
would or you
Still under
wouldn't, but
contract, still getting paid. My desk is there waiting for me. I just ignore the email, go to work. I don't know, but maybe there's some other stuff about this I don't quite get, maybe. But that's just the way I see the situation. I've never really even heard of this happening before necessarily. Like I've seen people leave and say like, hey, I want to spend more time with my family or whatever. Like I talked about the other day, the other week with Melissa Benoist because she's having a child. She's either had the child or having the child. I'm not sure, but like she's leaving Supergirl. The show's ending. She wants to move on and raise a family. Cool, fair enough. That's a quite realistic situation. Same thing with like Andrew Lincoln. He leaves Walking Dead, wants to go back to the UK, which isn't even in the same country that they film Walking Dead. That's in America. Wants to go back and spend time with his family because he's out filming Walking Dead for like 9-10 months of the year. That's a much more realistic scenario. So I don't know, but that's just my thoughts on that situation. But yeah, there's these corporate things that happen, aren't there? So we never really will get the full story on certain things. It's like we've said several times when like a director of a game or something, or someone involved with the game will just leave, and then usually they say like, oh, we just want to move on to different things. Sometimes it is simply the case of that, and sometimes it's the case that I know something bad happened, or they're not happy there, or whatever. So different circumstances for different things, maybe some of which we will understand and some of which we won't. So, what else did you want to talk about today?
That's all I had.
Cool. Speaking of, this is a quite a good segue. Speaking of people leaving companies, changes at Bioware are happening. So I'm going to read what I've got here from IGN. Casey Hudson and Mark Dara are officially leaving Bioware. Current projects like Dragon Age 4 and Mass Effect Legendary Edition, that's the remaster for the trilogy, isn't it? Will continue development. So again, is this a case that these two just want to leave and move on, or is it something worse? I mean, we've talked before in the past, quite a few times, in terms of EA. Them doing some, bad things in terms of microtransactions, and they had the big fallout with Amy Hennig, who ended up making her own company. She was involved with Uncharted, then she was involved with Star Wars at EA, and then she was involved. Now she's at her own company. So sometimes it's a case of that, where it's a bad relationship breakup, or like a Kojima Konami situation, where clearly that was a very public bad breakup, and now Kojima's in a much better place with his own Kojima Productions thing. Which one do you think this is?
Honestly, probably a mix of both. I'm
Possibly.
sure. I mean, nobody leaves a company that they've done that much with without having like a really good reason. And it might be just as simple as they want to stay home. They don't want to work the 9 gajillion hours or anything like that. Or it could just be, some shit went down. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've spoken a bit recently about like directors and other executives leaving certain roles. We talked a few weeks ago about the Halo Infinite director leaving, and there was a bunch of other people. Wasn't there other people involved with like DICE or something that left as well?
I don't know about DICE, but I remember we talked about it a few times. The art director for Ghostwire Tokyo had that
Yeah,
big.
she left as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was at the 2019 E3 when they announced it. So she came out, she was all bubbly and bouncy and became a meme for a hot minute. And then, like 2 or 3 months later, she's just like, "See ya."
Yeah. Yeah. So we won't know, but as long as these games come out good. I mean, I'm not particularly concerned with Dragon Age 4 because I don't have the current interest in that game. If I see some gameplay or some trailers or whatever and it interests me, then that'll be a different situation. But I mean, especially in terms of Mass Effect, like this game's going to be good because otherwise I don't know. I mean, they've got the next one after that in development, which they haven't said anything about. We don't know if it's an Andromeda 2 or a Mass Effect 4 or a reboot or whatever it is. But yeah, there's a lot riding on that as well. Not for like the future of BioWare and EA necessarily, or maybe for BioWare, but more in for the future of Mass Effect itself. Because like after the ending of 3 happened, people didn't like that. Then they had the DLC thing that didn't go down particularly well. Then of course the Andromeda mess that happened, and now you've got these people are leaving BioWare, and you've got the Mass Effect trilogy that's in development. You've got to make sure that otherwise you do start to end up a little bit like a Bethesda, where you've got kind of game after game that just isn't very successful.
Yeah, and
So
let's not forget, Andromeda was so bad they actually canceled DLC that was supposed to come out for it.
yeah, they scrapped like other plans for it as well. So, did Bioware make Anthem, or am I thinking of somebody else?
EA made Anthem. That's actually part of Game Pass Ultimate now because they kind of absorbed EA Play.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of EA
Who
games are
is
available on Game Pass now.
who is that developed by? Let me just um Anthem.
EA.
No, but what
Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about now.
yeah,
I don't know. I honestly think that was just
developer.
an
Yeah,
EA development.
Bioware. Yeah. Composer, yeah, Sarah something. Multiplayer 25th of January 2019. Publisher EA, developer BioWare. So, yeah, because I remember some people said about with there's another game that EA made. I think it was a Star Wars game, and they said that a lot of people were saying that they should have basically swapped developers and put
Hmm.
whoever it was on the Star Wars game on Anthem, because that's the more multiplayer thing, and then put the Bioware developer on the Star Wars game. I can't remember if that wasn't Jedi Fallen Order. I think it might have been Battlefield 2, maybe. Um, but yeah, that whole those development choices didn't make a lot of sense necessarily. So, but yeah, again with Anthem being kind of added to the pile as well. So, but we will see what the future of BioWare is when they start releasing some of these games. So, moving on to some positive news. Where is the article gone? There it is. Naughty Dog have promoted Neil Druckman, who was the vice president of Naughty Dog, to the co-president of Naughty Dog. Of course, the studio responsible for creating Uncharted, Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Dexter, Last of Us, and some other games as well. But those are the more notable ones that people will know of. Created those games, and they developed all the sequels and things. So yeah, Neil Druckmann has been promoted. So this comes from IGN. Alison Mori and Christian Sierlig have also been promoted. Naughty Dog, the video game developer behind The Last of Us and Uncharted series, has announced that Neil Druckmann will be promoted to co-president of the company. Alison Mori and Christian Sierlig, will also serve as vice presidents of Naughty Dog. Druckmann, who co-created The Last of Us with former Naughty Dog director Bruce Straley, has led the direction of Naughty Dog's biggest games of the last 10 years. This includes creative director credits on Last of Us, Uncharted 4, Thief's End, and The Last of Us Part 2. Druckmann served as a director on The Last of Us Part 2, along with Anthony Newman and Kurt Margenua. The sequel to 2013's action-adventure title has been critically acclaimed, earning multiple Game Award nominations and a Golden Joystick Award for Ultimate Game of the Year, which I talked about last week. Also promoted at Naughty Dog are Alison, yeah, we talked about those, now Vice Presidents of Naughty Dog. Mori was previously the Director of Operations, and Sierling was previously Co-Director of Programming, respectively. And then we have a quote which says, "We have such an incredible team at Naughty Dog, and being able to work alongside every one of them is especially meaningful these days," writes Naughty Dog President Evan Wells. "I feel proud of the team when I'm able to recognize their accomplishments and contributions to the studio." For more, check out IGN's Last of Us 2 review and interview with Neil Druckmann. So yeah, something very, very positive to come out of Naughty Dog. Yeah, Neil Druckmann's been rewarded for what's happened basically with Last of Us 2. He was formerly the vice president, now is the co-president of Naughty Dog. And I think that's great. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Naughty Dog does in the future, not just with Last of Us. I really, really like Uncharted. There's some good potential for the future games there. I'd like to see an Uncharted Lost Legacy 2. I think that would be really good. Another Nadine and Chloe adventure would be great. They also, I'm not going to spoil the end of Uncharted 4, but set up some interesting things there for the future of what they could do with Uncharted. Not necessarily with Nathan Drake, but with other characters as well. So yeah, what do you make of this? Some success at Naughty Dog in terms of promotions.
Yeah, I mean that's the natural progression. I'm not that
Hmm.
surprised on it. So hopefully, he'll just continue to do good for the company, and we'll continue to get good games.
Yeah, so currently I think their focus is Factions, the multiplayer mode for Last of Us 2, which was included in the first game, but this is, I think, going to be a sort of bigger like separate kind of thing. I don't know if it's going to be like a $30 thing or a $40 thing or something like that. A lot of people in the Last of Us 2 community have talked about like could we get some DLC for different characters in different story sort of places. There's still areas of sort of the whole timeline talking about from Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2 that you could like fill out some stuff with Tommy and Joel from before Last of Us 2. There's maybe some Abby stuff that you could do. There is just other things you could do as well. You could also potentially do Last of Us 3, maybe. I don't know if that will actually happen. But yeah, there's a lot of potential future for Naughty Dog as well. They could also, of course, revisit Jak and Dexter if they wanted to. They wouldn't revisit Crash Bandicoot because that's under the hood of Activision at the moment, like with Toys for Bob, Beanox, and Vicarious Visions that are doing those games. So they don't have that anymore. But hey, there's also room, if they decided to do a new IP at a certain point, I'd certainly check that out. There was a lot of rumors, I think it was a couple of months after Last of Us 2 came out, when there was some rumors about like they might do a sci-fi kind of game, which would be a bit of a different angle for them to sort of take. They've done two platformer series, so with Crash and Jak and Dexter. They've done a kart racing game with Crash Team Racing. They did, like a Hollywood blockbuster sort of thing with Uncharted. Then they did, a post-apocalyptic game with Last of Us. So they've certainly got some different areas. And I remember when I did that podcast called The Power of Naughty Dog, just talking about the different areas of games that they've not just done the same thing for like the last 10, 20 years or whatever. They've done lots of different genres. So switching again to something sci-fi related could be a success again. We're about to see how that pays off with CD Projekt Red, going from fantasy with Witcher to sci-fi with Cyberpunk. So yeah, anything you'd want to see from them particularly, or they might do maybe?
Not really, but I'm just not into that franchise as much as you are.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna hate on them for anything. I'm not gonna shit on anything. So I just, like I said before, I just hope good things come out of it. So
Cool. Yeah. But congratulations to Neil Druckman, and let's hope that they win a couple of things. They're certainly nominated for enough things for the Game Awards, which we will find out on December 10th. So we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of Cyberpunk, reviews came out today, and I didn't check out any scores particularly, if it was getting 7s or 8s or 9s. There was a fake Metacritic score posted of 83, which people were getting mad about, as if 83 is a bad score out of 100, or like it wasn't, 90 something. But that was like, I think somebody did like a Photoshop kind of thing for that. But most of what I've seen is some mixed reviews. Some are saying like this is a like really exceptional game. There was a fair bit of talk about bugs, but then there was a lot of mixed questions about like, is there a day one patch? Did these people play the game with a patch? What sort of state did these people play the game in? Because there was someone talking about like, I played a version of the game from 2 months ago, so that was even before like the November 19th version of the game that they had ready. What do you think of what's going on?
well, the bugs thing is probably going to be fixed in the patch because there is a
Yeah,
day one
I would imagine
43
so.
43 gig patch. I think it's either 4.3 or 43. It's freaking huge, whatever it is. So yeah, that's probably it. I do know review copies have been out for a while. The one I saw, it didn't go into spoilers obviously, so I don't have to worry about not spoiling it for you. It said the main storyline is like 25 hours, which is which is good because I gotta imagine there's a lot of side stuff.
Mm.
So hopefully they'll keep that focus on that main storyline. Outside of that, I've seen a lot of people hate on it for dumbass reasons that I don't even really want to talk about. I don't want to even legitimize why they hate it so much. It's just they want something to hate, and then this is their
Hmm.
target. So
Can you tell me one reason? Not like all of them, just name one.
uh,
Just curious.
honestly, I don't even want to give it that much legitimacy.
Alright, fair enough. Yeah, I can imagine some of the reasons. So, um, Yeah, no, we have a question here from Harrison as well. Says, "Hey lads, so Cyberpunk releases. How do you both feel?" I still feel pretty excited for it. I'm not gonna say it's like I don't know what my most anticipated game is at the moment. I mean, it was Crash for Last of Us 2, and those are both come and gone. I still haven't actually played Spider-Man Miles Morales, so even though it's out, I still haven't played it. So therefore, I'm still anticipating it. Still would like Immortals Phoenix Rising to play. I'm quite looking forward to that. But yeah, the next like big this was the next big game after like Ghost and Last of Us 2. I feel like so yeah, we'll see how things go. I'm trying to think what's like the next game that's coming out after that's quite big. I can't think of any games that are coming out in January. My name's just sort of my brain's just sort of blank on that. But yeah, Cyberpunk was sort of the next one, so I'm still very much looking forward to it. I'm curious to see what Cyberpunk's going to do, switching, like I said earlier, switching from um, fantasy with The Witcher to first person sci-fi, because they're changing perspectives as well, because Witcher 3 was obviously third person and this is first person, which changes the game fundamentally. So we'll see how that all works out. I just a couple of things that I kind of want is, I know I've said about this before, I don't want too much emphasis on like, look how pretty this world is that we made, because sure, I want a game that looks alright, but I've talked about this before, about like you can't just make the game look amazing and be like, oh, look around this really cool looking world. Like, okay, does the game actually play well? Like, how is the gameplay? What, how deep are the is the story? How fleshed out are the characters? Those are the things that are like really matter to me. Like, how well do the mechanics work? How well are the animations cool and interesting? Because graphics give you a better thing to look at, but ultimately it doesn't actually make the game mechanically or story or character wise any better. So I just don't
Yep.
want that to sort of be not shoved in my face as the wrong thing to sort of say. I don't want it to sort of be like a big vocal point. Because there was actually a couple of people that I saw say like, hey, yeah, this has got like some bugs and stuff, and I had fun, and it looks really good. Okay, but if it looks really good, but there's bugs in it and stuff, like that's not what I want. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. But
I'm on
how are you feeling?
I'm on Game Informer's website right now. I've just did a quick lookup of games coming out. Not only, well, January and February, I can't call it dry. The Sahara Desert is dry. This is practically non-existent. This is what's coming out in January. The PC release for the shit fighting game based off the Cobra Kai Netflix series,
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
MotoGP 2020, the Scott Pilgrim versus the World remake, which was actually a pretty decent side scroller beat 'em up in the style of like River City and games like that. Hitman 3, I mean that's something of note.
I'm looking forward to
Prince of
the
Persia,
VR stuff for that.
yeah, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake,
I forgot that it was a real thing.
Ride 4, Stronghold Warlords, and The Medium.
Okay, so there's two games there I'm interested in, which is Hitman 3 and Prince of Persia.
Yeah,
So,
but like that's literally it. And then February is not much better. It's got all the Neo remasters 1 and 2. So those, I mean, that's some people will want that, but
mhm.
it's not like a brand new game. It's just an old game remastered.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
Nightmares 2, I don't know what the hell that is.
Oh, yes. I'm looking forward to that.
Outriders, Werewolf, The Apocalypse, Earthblood, and Bravely Default 2.
What's the date for Little Nightmares 2? Is that at the end of February?
Little Nightmares 2, where was it? February 11th.
11th. Interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
So yeah, I mean, there's a couple games, so it's not like completely dry,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, if you're not into those games, there's nothing else.
Yeah. So, yeah, post Cyberpunk and Spider-Man, Little Nightmares 2 is my next anticipated game. Because I loved the first one, and I've seen a good chunk of gameplay for Little Nightmares 2, and it looks just as good. So, just when I say it looks just as good, I don't mean graphics. I mean just the whole thing. So, but yeah, that's my next anticipated game. I remember when they announced Little Nightmares 2. That was a nice little sort of surprise because there was some talk about it, but there was never any sort of like, hey, yeah, we're doing this. It just sort of popped up with the trailer at some point. So yeah, that should be quite good. Um, yeah. So yeah, how are you feeling going into? Because it's your most anticipated game at the moment. How are you feeling,
Yeah.
kind of going into things?
It should be here on Thursday, hopefully, assuming something else doesn't go wrong
Mm.
with delivery. Um, I don't know how much time I'll be able to get to play it because my job has me out and about Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which is why we're recording on a Monday. Um, Past that, it's definitely going to be my weekend game. Because I gotta imagine when I get home Thursday, the game waiting for me is just going to be like put it in the disc and wake up tomorrow for the update to be done.
It would be useful if like you got that just before you left, and then you could put it in the Xbox and install it. But I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just looking real quick at how big the day one patch is. See if it says here real quick.
I did see that the main game, no, I don't think it's including the patch, is 102 gigs
Yeah,
on PS4, and then someone
uh,
commented said like this is still smaller than Warzone, which
yeah,
it is. So
yeah. 40. I was right. 43 gigs is the day one patch.
okay, so that should hopefully fix some of these things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool. So that's that for Cyberpunk. We will. Well, it depends when I get sent because you'll probably be talking about it next week on the podcast. But I don't know with me at the moment. Royal Mail is being really slow again. So, but I do have space reserved for it in my rental list, and I do have it on my coming soon list. So we will see when that happens. Speaking of, yeah, that's all the news and whatever that I had to talk about. Let's get into the rest of the emails because Harrison, of course, we read out his email. If you want to send in yours, by the way, you can do so. Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK. There's a contact page and information in your show notes. If you'd like to talk about video games or anything related to Entertainment Talk. Yasmin has an interesting question. If a big video game project was announced, who are two studios that you would and two that you wouldn't want to be involved? So I'm assuming she's talking about like a big, big kind of property, like a DC or a Marvel or Star Wars or something along those lines. So two studios that I would like to do them is Rockstar, and just because big budget, time and money and that kind of thing, and then probably Naughty Dog. Um, Two that I wouldn't. Now I'm not saying this because I do hate the Avengers game, but because they've literally just messed up a big project game. Crystal Dynamics I'd put on the list of ones that I wouldn't want to do it, and probably Bethesda. Now I don't know post the Microsoft purchase if they are definitely going to be better. We haven't seen the results of that yet, but at the moment, with the last couple of years of Bethesda games that we've had, excluding Doom Eternal, because that was actually received quite well. I wouldn't really want them doing kind of a big project sort of thing. There's other studios that I'd name, but she asked for two, so I named two each. How about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I have no problem with Rockstar doing a
Mm.
big project. They've shown they can do big projects really well. Um, Naughty Dog, well, I don't use their content much. They are definitely, doing good in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Two that I wouldn't, definitely not anything by Bethesda until they get their shit together.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have said this on multiple occasions that, my big hope for the Microsoft purchase is for all those studios to get the kick in the ass they desperately need
And a new engine.
and a new engine. I can't think of a second one off the top of my head.
One that you wouldn't, because
Yeah,
you
one
said
that you would.
yeah.
Um,
Konami.
See, I don't know. Konami doesn't do bad. They don't do big
they
projects, but
just
then they don't try to do big
they just don't
projects.
really do anything anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
To be fair, they make so much money from their pachinko business, they don't really have to do anything anymore.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I just don't have one really that I can answer with that.
Hmm. Yeah, but those are a few that I just sort of don't trust. Other developers that I would choose is like CD Projekt Red. Um, it's again, this is another sort of post whatever that we don't know about because like I just said with sort of the post Microsoft purchase Bethesda, we don't know what they're going to be like. There is the new sort of revitalized Telltale that we're going to be getting. We don't know what they're going to be like yet. So if they turn up and they have handled massive properties, you're talking about Game of Thrones, Batman, Walking Dead, Borderlands isn't as big as those, but Borderlands as well. Um, what was that wolf game called? Wolf Among Us with like Bigby, the wolf and stuff. That was noted to be quite big. Again, not as big as probably like a Marvel or a DC or something. They did Marvel as well, Guardians of the Galaxy that they did. So the past version of themselves proved that they could do at least a good job with some of those big properties. So again, that's another one where like if you put just more resources in there, then they could do pretty well. So because I love the Walking Dead games, they're great. So, and lastly, Ian has a question for me. So Matt, after playing the 2020 editions of FIFA and PES, which one do you like more and why? So here's the difference I've talked about on some of my PES streams. PES, which is Pro Evolution Soccer, is much more of a sim type of game, where FIFA is so much more arcadey. Like there'll be just certain ways you move with the player, certain ways that you shoot and pass and whatever. Even like the way that you set up tactics is much different in both games. The way that you just the way that you do everything pretty much is much different. I do think that I feel much more. Now I don't know if it's because I'm maybe worse at PES or I don't know if I'm worse at one game than the other. I haven't really worked that out. I feel much more rewarded when I score a goal in PES because I feel like I've actually worked for it a bit more. Because certainly with some of the long shots in FIFA, they are much easier to score. Like they won't always go in. There's a lot of shots that get blocked, and there's still shots on PES that get blocked as well. But there's these certain sort of inside of the foot curling shots that you can do on FIFA that once you hook one of them or whatever, that they're pretty easy to score, and you can do them with quite a lot of different players. That's another difference with PES as well. Is if you look at like sometimes you'll get really lucky on FIFA if you have like a defender in a good position and his shooting is rated like 59, you can still possibly score a screamer into the top corner. Whereas in PES, there is certain like okay, this player is much better at long shooting than this player, and like defenders are better at different things. And there's even like okay, sure if you take like Martial and Rashford, two similar players in certain ways, they're still going to be much better at different things. The other good thing I like about PES as well is because something I did with Rashford today, if you go on the training menu and you want a particular player to get better at a particular thing, not just like running or shooting, but like a chipped shot or a driven shot or a through ball pass, you can train them to do specific different things, which I think is much more in depth for the training. Because with FIFA, you basically just set like, okay, I want this player's stamina to be better, so I'll give them some running training to do, and then that just sort of gets simmed all the time, like per day, I think. Whereas you can set specific things for PES. The other thing that I really like about PES as well is when you get to the start of a new season in FIFA, you have to manually do every single player's contract that is running out, whereas in PES, when you go on to the contracts, it's like, we've talked to this player, they have this deal in place, if you're happy with that, you can just press accept. Because the manager doesn't always do those sorts of things, there's like agents that are involved and that kind of thing. So I just like in PES how it's sort of like, okay, we've already spoken to this player and we set up this thing, if you're happy with that, you can just press accept, and then you can kind of get on with it. Rather than like doing this cutscene thing with FIFA every single season. So yeah. But do you have any thoughts on any of that?
No, I don't play those games really enough to even guess at that. So
Yeah, but I don't know. I like the challenging sort of simulation way that PES plays. I just feel so much more rewarded when I score, and it makes me think because there's certain ways that in FIFA you can do certain little tricks and you can completely destroy the opposition. you sort of know in Pez, if you're like 3 or 4 nil up, you haven't done that by accident unless you're playing on an easy difficulty. But yeah, it just takes a lot more. So plus I like the way that it's much easier to like pick the team and that kind of thing, and change their position and stuff. There is a lot of things that Pez does a lot better. So yeah, but yeah, that's everything that we've got for you for this episode of Gaming Talk. I think let me just take a quick look at my calendar here, because the Game Awards are next week, or this week, sorry, and we'll be talking about them next week. I think next week might be the last episode for the year, and then we'll come back at some point in early January. Because that could be a good one to sort of end the year on, the actual Game Awards themselves as well, because that will be the last kind of big burst as well of trailers and announcements and that sort of thing. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So, because the week after is like the week of the 20th and all, or the 21st and all that. So, yeah. Plus we've got other stuff to plan as well. So yeah, it'll be last episode of the show. Sorry, last episode of the show for the year, not forever. We'll be back at some point in January. We'll figure out when that's going to be. But yeah, we'll see what happens next week at the Game Awards. Any last minute predictions for the Game Awards?
No.
No. We will see who wins what, whatever. So, any surprise trailer predictions?
Honestly, there's so little in development that isn't already known. I can't imagine any kind of a trailer coming out.
Yeah.
Maybe a hype trailer for Hitman, because that does come out next month. Maybe
Yeah.
a hype trailer for one of the remasters that's coming out in the next couple of months.
Little something for Little Nightmares, maybe. Far Cry
Maybe.
6 got pushed out of February into March. That was supposed to be February something. So, but anyway, we'll see you for next week, and we'll see if Last of Us and Ghost and whatever else wins different awards, and we'll see you for that next week. In the meantime, you can find everything that we do on entertainmenttalk.org, TV, video games, films, and Manchester United podcast. Really big game tomorrow. I'm just hoping that the team can show up and we don't defend like a horror show. So tune in for that tomorrow if you want to know what happens in the Champions League with Manchester United against Leipzig. We do have some other stuff planned. I know that both Walking Dead shows have just ended as well, but Star Trek is still continuing, and other things as well that I've got planned. So and don't forget to tune in for the Best and Worst of 2020 podcast, either next week or the week after. We haven't arranged that yet, but that should be quite fun to do as well. I'm looking forward to doing that. If you like what you've heard today and you want to get involved and you want to support what we're doing here on Entertainment Talk, that will be brilliant. You can support us on Patreon. There's the $1 and $3 level tiers for ad-free podcast and review options. Word of mouth, you can simply tell people that you know about the website and the iTunes feeds and the content that we make, and they can discover it for themselves. Social media, you can do the same thing, but Facebook, Twitter, different Facebook groups, or whatever else you use these days. Geektown, the Geektown Awards are currently open. You can go and vote for your favourite shows, games and films for 2020, and your most anticipated games, films and shows for 2021. So have a look out for those. If you go to geektown.co.uk/awards, you can go and vote. All you need to do is go over to that page, tick the boxes for each category, and then put in, I think it's your name and your email at the bottom, and then press submit. You will also then be entered into a prize draw. There's a winner for the runner-up as well. So good luck to everybody who's going to be doing that. So go and check that out as well. And of course, you can check out geektown.co.uk and Geektown Radio for your general up-to-date, reliable TV and film news. Over on Twitch, Bex is streaming daily. At the moment over on Twitch, if you look for Trista Bytes, Trista Bytes, go and follow her over there. She's got her Scream Saturday streams as well. Speaking of Pez, if you want to watch me play some of that and some different games, I've been doing different parts of The Last of Us 2. You can find me on Twitch as well at eTalkUK on there if you search for that. And look out for Let's Play Sundays. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week for the Game Awards. Goodbye.
Goodbye.